the music you make, it seems like it's like synth, like you know what I mean. So I feel like a lot of people that are really into like synth pop and whatnot, they're like, oh yeah, I use a Juno and I use only Prophet 6 type emulations and all this stuff. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I know. I mean, I'm vaguely familiar with them. It's mostly like I do use, the Juno VST, a Prophet VST. I use a Mini Moog VST. But in regards to how the oscillators work, how to actually,
Right.
I'm like,
Me neither, dude. Me neither.
I literally just fiddle with it till it's like sounds right. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and the thing is, you have a guitar solo at the end of is it Blue Lavender?
Mm-hmm.
Is it Blue Lavender? Was that in VST or no? Was that an actual
No,
guitar?
that's an actual guitar.
That was an actual guitar. Oh, okay.
You see, with actual like good gear, I'm always getting told M Audio or what is it, Scarlet,
Oh, the
or like
Scarlet.
they're the good. I already forgot what they're called.
Controllers?
Uh,
I have no idea, man.
I'm
Sorry.
thinking of another word, but anyways, what was I using?
What do you have Arturia or is it like what is
They're
the
Arteria.
VST? They're Arturia?
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to get my hands on those. Those are so nice.
I mean, the only reason I know about those was because I had gone to ReverbMachine.com and
Oh
they
yeah.
sell presets there, and I was under the impression I literally have a bad habit of not reading the fine print. I I bought the patches thinking it was the actual synthesizer, and then I'm like in Ableton, and I'm like, where is it? I go back and I actually read it. I'm like, oh, I have to buy the actual VST.
I that exact thing happened to me. Exactly. I went on Reverb because they have those really cool demos, right? And they show you the like the Mac DeMarco songs and all that stuff. And then you're just like, oh, I want to sound like like or the beach house stuff. It sounds so good. Like their synths are always so good because they're so simple, but they're so good every time. So when they were that, I was like, that's when I was like, I'll give you any money you need. I'll give you that money, and it was so cheap. So it's like, oh, it's a steal. But then the Arturia thing that you have to get to buy it, how much is it? Like, it's like $200.
Yeah, I think the profit one was like, I think that one was 129. I think. I do remember the Mini Moog. It was maybe like $79
Okay. What do you use mainly on your stuff?
for the music.
Yeah, for the music for Common Girl. That's the thing I've listened to a lot. I don't know if you have anything else out. What did you mainly like as far as the like since
I think I used the Mini Moog more.
the Mini Moog, the
Mm-hmm.
cheaper one?
Yeah, so that's the thing. I had the reason I stuck with those. Well, like excluding the profit, the reason I stuck with the Mini Moog and the Juno is because I actually have a physical version of them. I don't have the real one. I have the little Juno boutique version of the '06 and the 109, something like that. Roland had came out with it like maybe a year or two ago. And so it's just like, you just have to put a MIDI controller with it. And for the Mini Moog, I got the Bear Ranger. I forgot what it's called, but it's like a replica. So the thing that's actually cool about that is that when it comes to live shows, I want to sound a bit different. You know how I guess nowadays, since people like they will make music all on their own in their room and then it's on the computer. They don't have all the equipment, and when they perform, they'll just have their computer with them, and it just sounds exactly like the recording. That's not what I wanted to go for. I want it to sound more genuine. It might sound, just
Like
I
an
don't know,
ex-
kind
like
of different.
like an experience, right?
Exactly.
Because I've been to. Have you seen Valley Swerve?
No, not yet.
Have you seen them play? Uh,
Haven't had the chance.
they played at Tropicasa at the Grassfed. At the Grassfed, he he played. Well, I mean, it's a group, but the main guy actually played right before me, or I think yeah, right before me, and he did what you're saying, and I thought it sounded really good. I think that's a lot better than, because I mean, there were rappers that went after me. I don't know if you know about Tropicasa, but they have a couple rappers,
Mm-hmm.
and the rappers that went after me just tracks, and it was like I felt so bad because I made the they had a whole system set up there for me, and it was just me because I was the only one that was playing real drums. I was the only one that had real guitars. I was the only one that had anything. It was just Valley Swerve who had the controller, which I think was better than like than just playing the tracks. Even though I like his music, or their music, because I think it's most people can. But but yeah, I agree with you. I think there's something special about live performances. And I like rappers rapping over their own stuff, but in some sense, I mean, like, do you feel like it's like kind of cheating, or like what do you think?
It's not that I think it's cheating. I think when it comes to rappers, they're more focused on the energy they have to give off. And I think they might be in the similar situation where they don't have the proper equipment or the proper, amount of people to play with them for the performance. So I think their main focus is their performance, their presence, and then the bass that comes with like rap music, like the impact when you're actually there, you're just feeling it full blast and you're singing along with your friends. I think that's good enough. Cuz it's just like that's more of the experience when it comes to rap, I think. I don't know.
I,
Because I've gone to one of them, I think at Cine El Rey, and yeah, the sound system sounded pretty cool. Good energy, a good crowd.
who did you see?
I don't know. It was some random band. I have no idea who they were.
Because I've met I don't know if you know 350 or A3, other some of the rappers. They're really nice. They're really nice guys to hang out with. Really nice dudes. But yeah, they I think when I've spoken with them, they say, "Oh, I'd rather have it live." But yeah, like exactly what you're saying, exactly what you're saying, and I think that's interesting. But it is cool. It's like I still think something about live performances. Like even you have like it's like Tame Impala, or you have I don't know if Beach House does live stuff. I've never seen their live performances, but I'm guessing they would. I'm almost certain they would.
So that's the thing. Beach House. I've seen people like in the comments, like on YouTube. Why do they have a real drummer if they still have the drum track on top, like in the background, but it still gives it this like weird shimmer and
Mm-hmm.
feeling
Mm-hmm.
of like how the performance is going, because the drummer. I'm bad with tempo. If I was a drummer, I wouldn't be able to keep track or be playing correctly with the backing track of the drums. It'd be like feeling like that, but when that drummer for Beach House plays, it's very it's cohesive, and it gives it this nice feeling.
So would you say Beach House is one of your like main influences? Like maybe one of like the main couple of influences for Common Girl at least.
Um, I just noticed that you put the chorus like how my how I have it on my album.
Oh, I didn't put chorus. It's just
Well, it's not chorus. It's
the phase or
Well, what I did, I used this Roland V5 something. It's literally just pitch shifting. I have it to where it's almost like the effect of when you're playing a. I'm not really musically inclined to verbalize what I'm talking about, but it's when, uh, ha- uh, let's say you're playing a C minor, but you're
mm,
also adding the D, since the D and the D sharp are clashing because there's no in between.
mm-hmm.
Like it gives it this like
Dissonant feel. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That's basically what I did on that record because it's a recorder basically, but since it has the pitch, I just kind of because it's hard to work with chorus on my vocals because it gives more of like this chamber feeling, and I don't like that sound because it also starts sounding like a phaser, right, where it starts moving the sound, and I don't like that. I want it to be straight tone, so it's literally just shifting the pitch a little. I'm lowering it a bit, and then it's like it gives it the effect that I'm hearing right now.
I think that's really cool. Honestly, when I heard that on the album for the first time, I was thinking because I think Igor had come out, or like there's some Tyler stuff that he does where it's a little pitch shifted. I mean, obviously his is also like he has other parts where it's just really shifted. But yours, like, it was just I did notice that, and I was gonna ask you about that also. I didn't. I don't think I put it on the questions, but I was gonna ask about that because I was interested, especially on like songs like "You're There." Have you like that song to me? I mean, I don't want to play favorites, but that's probably my favorite song because emotionally, that's the one that hits me. I don't. The thing is like with the pitch shifting, sometimes it's hard for me to like because you don't have lyrics on your Apple Music. But that's the one I feel like has the most emotional power. Am I like I don't know. I feel like the performance is really good too on that one specifically. What do you think? Is that your favorite performance?
You know, I'm literally in shock that you're like talking about my album like this because I've never talked about it like this with anybody. No one's asking these questions, but um, that song specifically, it's so the album in general, right?
Mm.
It's supposed to be like a self-expression of who I am, but the with the concept of alternate universes. So the whole album is in a different version of myself, but in a different universe. So anything prior that's happened to me is like totally different to the other version of me, and so on. The only two songs that are similar to closest to me that are actual real events is from Blue Lavender and then You're There. So
Oh,
that's where
okay.
it's actually like me, like it was actually happened to me. And I was dating this person one time. We were actually living together, and we it just felt real distant. Towards the end, it felt real distant. It was sad. I didn't like it because we were both just disconnected. We weren't emotionally invested in each other anymore. Like it was just mutual, right? And I remember this one particular day. This was back in Houston, like maybe in 2017. I came back from work, but I actually had a good day, and it just felt real like dissonant because they got home, they're just laying in bed. They didn't want to hear anything I had to say, or like, I can't share this happy feeling and be able to like at least share it with you, like, kind of like when people come into a room and they kind of shift into the vibe of the room, whether it's good or bad. It's kind of like that. I wanted to like share that, but it was just like me being ignored.
That's
And
I felt that. To be honest, I felt that because I remember hearing it for the first time because I think it came out last year, 2020, right?
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember hearing it for the first time. I remember thinking like, wow, this actually really hurts. And I couldn't really hear the lyrics sometimes because like sometimes I'm really getting lost in the music also. But I could tell there was something there because to me that's the one that I like emotionally I connected with the most when I was hearing it. I was like, oh man, like I was like, I'm sad now. Like when you're listening to music, you're just like, and there's always a couple songs where you're just like, I'm sad now. This song has made me sad, and this is that, and that's a good thing. I don't say that in a bad way, but because like as artists, I think a lot of what we're like aiming to do is to bring people along on this journey, which kind of what you're saying it's bringing people along, and I guess that makes sense because for you, is it
Emir.
Emir, the moon song. I was gonna ask about that too because it was saying like, I don't want to be on this moon. I want to go home. Like there's this longing effect, and it's so interesting. I feel like that album, and now that it makes sense because that's also part of the reason why I want to do this podcast is because realizing that album is a journey and it is like longing for going and it's going back to you, right? Everything that comes out of the valley, I try to find time to listen to it, and even art, I really, I'm not visually inclined. Like the editing for this I shouldn't do it. I'm telling my friend like, please don't let me do it at all. It'll look so bad, but I mean like undertones. Like I've heard people refer to undertones in like paintings and stuff too, where it's like how if you paint a certain type of color under a blue, like, and then you paint a different color under the blue, it kind of like changes. It's like the feeling of it. And so I kind of want to get some art, like some photographers and painters on here to kind of ask them about that process. And that'd be cool too because I'd be learning so much because they know way more than I do about anything aesthetic. I can't even draw. Like I can't draw one thing. If you asked me to draw, like if you had a gun to my head and you're like, Ricky, you need to draw something right now or I'll kill you. I would be like, I would not. I could draw a stick man, but other than that, I'm out of luck, man. I'm out of luck. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I keep saying man. I'm sorry. I apologize. I want to ask you one of these actual questions, like that I took time to write. Have you done? Have you? I wanted to know because I also haven't seen you play a show before. Have you played? Have you played a live show yet
For Common Girl? No.
for Common Girl? No. Were you in a band before?
The last performance I've done personally was actually with Yurama. I was helping out a Maori with the bass
Maori?
for his band, and it was at Sauce House, I think.
Sauce House.
This was like, it was cold. I remember it was kind of chilly.
It's probably December then. That's the only cold month, right?
Maybe November, December.
Did you play at the Pulse thing that they had? The magazine thing that they had?
No, I don't. No, I didn't.
You didn't? I thought I might have seen you there. But
I don't know. What was the Pulse thing?
it was at UTRGV. They had this runway show.
Oh, Levette's fashion show. No, I was just attending
Oh, you were
by
attending?
that time.
Oh, so I probably saw you then cuz I was there. But I was doing an assignment cuz I was like taking a class and they were making me stay there and I mean I wanted to be there anyway cuz I listened to all the music. I was like, "Oh yeah, I already know who this guy is. It's cool. This guy's going to play." And it's like homework. I get to do homework and listen to Wairama. And I hadn't met Maori. That was actually the day that I met a Maori. Like for the first time. And I was like, "Hi." What do you think are some key components of a venue that make it a good place to build the artist community? Because that's like, again, that's the main thing for me is building the RGV scene. What do you think like a venue is? Like, I've never been to Sauce House. I don't know how they are. But so I don't know. Oh, that's what I would ask.
I mean, I think the key component is when it's, I guess when the venue's run by somebody that knows multiple groups in the valley. When it comes to, building a community around music, I feel like the best way to do it is playing at these venues where you've never played at, and you're playing in front of a new audience. And I mean, yeah, that's pretty much. I can't really speak, I think, for this I can't really answer this question just because I only have a vague, sense of how it goes on. I haven't personally, because like with getting booked for a show, things like that, I have no idea how that happens. I just assumed someone knows somebody and they know somebody that knows somebody that owns the venue, and they get a show.
Yeah, I've never been booked either.
I don't know how that works.
I don't know that many people. I had never met Allie until I met them. I met them Monday. Like, I actually had a conversation with them, and that was what was cool is that conversation was so awesome. But yeah, I have no idea. That's why I was asking just genuinely. But
I mean, if anything, I think what I would like to see in regards to venues and how communities would be growing better would be literally just getting out of your comfort zone, I guess. Because I've always had this habit of going to random shows. It's like I was telling you earlier that I just went to this random show, didn't know who was playing, but I was there just for the sake of an experience. Didn't know what to expect. It might have been good, it might have been bad. I'm not very picky. I get very excited when it's unknown. I show up, I'm seeing a little crowd. I get more excited when like the music starts, especially if the performer has great connection with the audience, great atmosphere. And I'm just like, ready for anything, I guess. And that's, I guess, one thing I would really like to see with other people. They just show up to these shows. It's not just because, oh, my friend's playing and they're in the band. That's the only reason I'm going to the show. the funny thing, I thought it was like funny but in a bad way, when I was living in Houston, was there's a couple of people I made friends with during the time I was there. I would ask them, would you go to local shows? None of them would go. I'm like, why not? It's boring. What do you mean it's boring? I've heard a lot of good music, but I don't know where the shows are happening, etc. It's like, why would I go to a local show when there's like, oh, so and so playing at this venue, like at the Toyota Center, or they're playing at the Woodlands Pavilion, things like that. They only show up for like Tyler the Creator or Harry Styles, but it's like, what about the local people?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I always found it strange, and yeah,
That feels good then, knowing that the Valley actually, that's one thing that the Valley gets right, maybe then, like, that a lot of people are down to go see some, like, Mumbles. I don't know if you ever see Mumbles, but
Eric.
I remember, Eric, yeah, dude, you know Eric?
Yeah.
Dude, Eric's the best. He's such a great person. But I would always be there. I wanted to go to every Mumble show ever. I wish I could have been at every Mumble show. If I ever missed one, it was because I was, sick home or something, or someone in the family died. Those are the only excuses for me to miss a Mumble show. And yeah, people were excited for Mumbles, and I would listen to on Bandcamp. I would be there blasting Salty Air, and then whenever I would see them live, I would be singing along to the songs. And I think that's actually, and so would other people too with me. And so I feel like that's something about the Valley that maybe is really cool. We don't get Tyler the Creator. We don't get Harry Styles, even though I would definitely go see Harry Styles. I'll tell you that much. I would see Tyler the Creator. I'd sell my soul for that. But I'm that makes me like happy. I guess more appreciative of the Valley, because like we do really care. I don't know if you've seen that like in your experience.
That's one thing I can talk about in regards to like the Valley, is there's so much potential here. There's so much energy, but people aren't willing to seek it out. Growing up, I've always heard this excuse that there's nothing to do here. It's boring. They want to leave. They want to go to Austin, San Antonio, to Houston. And, as an adult, when I actually moved to Houston, it wasn't because I wanted to leave. I literally never wanted to leave. That's why I'm back. The living situation is actually good this time. But being in Houston, I'm just like, wow, I miss the Valley. Especially because even just downtown specifically, I remember the first time I came downtown in McAllen. I'm not really like, club scene. Depends though, I can be, but the general like public that do go, they go to like the cumbia clubs, or they'll go to these tejano clubs, and then,
Owl or whatever those places.
and then it goes into like the yard and things like that. They're not really my crowd, but I'll go because it's fun. I like to drink. I'll have some time, with some friends. Right, it's pretty cool. Favorite place is side room, but that's off topic, right? Like I've gone downtown in Austin and in Houston. They're just like real boring. A lot of at least in Houston specifically, it's just a lot of pubs, and it's just, I don't know, weird. It just felt weird all the time. There's that like, there's no sense of like, intimate culture within like, a group of people, because when it comes to like, for example, Yerbiria Cultura, they always had random shows. There's like, it'll have a country night, it'll have like an acoustic
and then the
singer
metal
songwriter, then it'll mostly be metal, right?
Yeah, most.
I liked that. It's just they're drawing in different audiences per like different times, right?
And you go on Facebook, and then you're like, oh yeah, this band's playing today. Hey, we're going out tonight.
But no, Houston was not like that. It was more monetization, which really, it shows like the people suck. It's not that they suck personally, but I don't know. It's just they don't have that energy. They don't have that drive to actually like, hey, I don't know. Felt weird.
Valuing the culture. I that's something that's really big. That's really big in the Valley. I feel like going to UTRGV even. I don't know if did you go to UTRGV? Or
I'm going in January.
Oh, you're going in January. Good luck, man. Good luck there.
Yeah.
there's a lot of really good professors, and then there's some bad professors. But I mean, if you need help with that, I'll let you know.
Okay.
I'll help you. But yeah, like even at UTRGV was cool. The coolest thing about it is a lot of the professors are there thinking about the culture and thinking about ways to improve like the community, and even a lot of outreach stuff that's there is like based in the community. You have like the Frontera Fund. A lot of people from like UTRGV are a part of that, and then I mean, I've seen some other organizations. I can't name them off the top of my head, but I think that's really important, and and I'm really glad that to see that, because I've never really been out. I'm kind of like, and I don't want to leave either. I love it here, but it's interesting to see like that perspective of I've been you went somewhere and maybe you didn't even want to leave, but then even when you did leave, you thought like, wow, I'm glad with what's in the valley. And I think that's really cool.
It's nice.
I wanted to ask what's your story, because we kind of skipped that question. I don't want to
Number one.
ask. Yeah, number one.
Um, I've been thinking about it ever since I got the paper. I don't know how to answer that. I mean, I'm from Edinburgh, Texas. I was born here. I'm the only one in my family that was born here. My siblings were born in Houston. And my dad's from Mexico. My mom from El Salvador. Um, was. But me, I mean, grew up in the church. Started doing music officially when I was like maybe 11. Started learning the bass at church, and then that's when I just started doing my performance experience, I guess. It was mostly just church events.
That's super interesting to me. I was gonna ask. I actually did. I put that on there. Are you religious? I have that. That's number 10, because I feel this ethereal, almost reaching for something kind of sound. Because when I hear, because I was gonna ask that because of when I listen to Common Girl, the album. There's this like, now I know it's probably because you went, you have that background. Is that there's moments in like church songs, because I grew up in church too, and there's like moments in church songs where it's like it gets really big and it gets like really reaching for something, and like the organs are kind of like going up, and like you have these songs that are just like you just keep chanting them, and like it's meant to like elicit it's meant to elicit an emotional response. We don't have to get into that, but you know and I was gonna ask, that's what I was gonna ask, and like, do you think that played a part in Common Girl in the EP? Because that's something that I even thought I had no idea. I hadn't never talked to you about that, but
I think a lot of the things that I do, they're done subconsciously, and I'm not aware of it. And I do know what you're talking about. They're reaching for an emotion to draw it out from the audience, whether that's you're guilty, you need to repent, or it's just, hey, God loves you, right?
yeah,
But right now, I'm atheist.
you're an
I've
atheist.
been atheist for quite a while now.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was maybe 19. I'm 24 now.
Oh, you're
Turning
19.
25, yeah.
I've heard. Was it Catholic or Christian? Were you
Christian.
Christian? Oh, okay.
It was technically a non-denominational church, but
Non-denominational.
it was more Pentecostal.
Oh yeah. Well, the bass. When I heard you playing bass, I was like, well, if it's Christian, it's probably those Pentecostals. I remember going to a Pentecostal church, and that's just actually an interesting topic for question. I was like, nah, that just came to my head. In Pentecostal churches, there's like sometimes you'll hear a brass instrument in there. Like I went to one, and there was a guy playing saxophone, and he just was like, I mean, maybe speaking in tongues or whatever he's doing. He's closing his eyes and just going ham on it. He's going insane. He's going crazy. He's overpowering the vocalists that are playing, and he's soloing like randomly. They just let him solo whenever, I think. And like I think that's kind of played a big part in the valley scene in some ways. What do you think about like that part? Because I think there's a lot of Pentecostals here, and I feel like maybe that has played a role somewhat in some of the bands in the valley. I don't know if like you agree with something like that.
I don't know. I don't know a lot of people, to be honest. Specifically musicians. Most of the musicians I grew up with, I've learned with, played with, they're just church. It was literally not up until I started playing with Amauri.
Ah, okay.
Because I had an old friend. We grew up at the church. Well, he grew up in the church too. His was more Baptist, but I guess I would play music with him, like on our free time. He'd come to my house. I had a drum set. We would just play, mess around. But in regards to an actual performance, it was not until like a Maori.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's because I can't think the top of my head, but I do know, and I know he grew up. I knew he grew up at church because I actually met him through someone, through one of his friends in that way, and that's actually how I met Amari too. Because I met him because played. I think he played at the magazine thing that I went to.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, he was playing there, and that's how I actually met Amari at all. So that's actually funny. But yeah, I do. The reason why I say that is because a lot of people that I've met in musical situations started kind of in the church. Like, and then you have like you have famous people like Katy Perry is one. I mean, Taylor Swift. You have all these people that are like, and then eventually they grow up a little bit more and they're like, whatever. But I don't know. That's an interesting element to me, is that there is this thing, and also, but there is also in that reaching out for something. I did feel like I want to ask if this is one of your influences. We can take it out if it's not. But are you into like post punk at all? Like
I am.
post punk? Because I felt like this post punk type vibe going on. Am I kind of missing it or?
So I think that was an I overlooked that detail when it was done. Uh, Someone told me, "Oh, I like the post punk feel." I was like, "Oh God, I didn't think about that," because I'm very adamant about what direction I want. I was very adamant. I'm still adamant about it.
Mhm.
What direction I want to push my sound towards, right? And post punk was not what I'm reaching
It was
for.
not at all.
No, not at all. I think the happy accident that made it sound like that was literally the drums that I was using for the album.
Because you're very adamant. You just said you're very adamant about the direction you're pushing it in. I think that's really cool. I've talked to you before, and I'm like, oh, well, so what are you thinking about when you're whatever, and they're like, I just do it together. So it's actually cool knowing that you're very very particular. What direction were you trying to push it to? Like, what was like the, I guess the musical context that you were kind of like trying to place that album into?
I guess to give you context, did you hear the first song that I've ever released? It was "Crying at the Party."
I don't think so.
So that one sounds very bedroom pop.
Ah, okay.
Um, and that song was actually just an accident because I wouldn't really say an accident because I already knew I was recording with a purpose. I was trying to find my sound. I was trying to find my voice basically because ever since I started playing instruments, I've been trying to find my own voice basically, my own style. And eventually, I think back in like high school, that's when I was like I want to do dream pop, but I never really understood what dream pop at the time could mean for me because I think at the time it's just like MGMT, right? And M83. I always say M83, but then I got corrected. It's M83. But anyways,
Don't worry about that. I say things wrong all the time. I'm saying things wrong in the podcast. So I'm sorry. Don't worry about that. But please continue. I'm sorry.
that's okay. But yeah, I always knew that I wanted to, create some sort of dream pop. And every time I tried recording, it was not really coming out right, and then I kind of just let go of the idea. I started doing more dark wave music, and it was going somewhere, but at the same time, it got tiring just because I I feel like I've already dealt with the experience and just clinging on to that sort of depression feeling aspect of my life, feeling like just sad. I was just tired of feeling sad, right? And it's funny, at least in my head, it's like dark wave and dream pop are like mirroring each other. It's almost like a yin yang type deal. Like they're coexisting. Because dream pop's supposed to make you feel more, you know, good. Dark wave, it's kind of like angst, like, right? Um, what was the question again?
What? I was. I mean, I wanted to know the only the question kind of just was as someone who's like very adamant about the direction of their sound. I was just asking like in what context you wanted
Oh,
to place Common Girl.
yes.
And,
So ever since playing the instruments,
yeah.
yada yada yada, I back in 2019, I was still recording. I was still like trying to make music in general. I would make acoustic songs or just anything I was able to like do materialize. Um, it was just one night. I was actually the first 3 days that I got Ableton because I was only using GarageBand, and it just wasn't. It was a disaster with GarageBand. But I got a hold of Ableton, and a lot of the filters that it has, like just compression, just the basic little reverb presets that you could put in, things like that. It just maximized my sound because what I recorded with was a little Porta sound, a Yamaha Porta sound, like from the 80s. It looked like garbage. It still looks like garbage, but it was still working, and it had like an output. So I put that in to Ableton, and it was just a bass and electric drum beat and my voice. And once I finished that song, I automatically just knew this is something where I know it's a start point where I can go to that tone of dream pop that I'm trying to reach for. And that's basically how it just happened. You should listen to the song because it's nothing like.
Is it on Apple Music?
It's not. It's on Spotify.
Okay, I'll find
It's
it.
yeah,
Crying at the Party.
crying at the party.
Okay, I
It
will.
was on my Instagram, but I recently just took it off just cause.
I'll definitely take it. I'll definitely hear it because I am interested because I really like dream pop. I've tried making stuff that kind of sounds dreamy, and it's just like sometimes I don't know. I'm very stuck in. I'm very stuck sometimes. But it's cool that you made something and then you're like, oh, okay, well this is the direction. So where after as a fan, I want to know what kind of comes next as like your direction that you're trying to head, and like do you have plans to release something? Are you recording something right now?
I'm working on some stuff right now. A friend of mine, Jorge, he's a photographer in the valley. Just randomly mentioned that you should use one of my photographs for your artwork, and I like his work, and so I agreed. And we basically came to the agreement like you send me a photo that you think I should use, not me pick out of how many you send me. And there's this one particular one, and it just like it seemed perfect because automatically when I saw it, it's like that was it. I
Yeah.
just needed to get it out of my head and put it out into you know the world.
I'm excited for that because that's kind of what Unknown World Orchestra does, where he gets the album art, he puts it on his phone, and he just has it as a screensaver. So he's always thinking in that zone, and yeah, I think that's actually really cool. Like it starts instead of starting with usually you in the last album you started with a tone that you could go to, and now you're gonna start with an image, and it's gonna be I think that's gonna be super interesting to see how that actually pans out. Is that PNG? Is that Jorge PNG? Because
Mm-hmm.
I've met one. I don't know if I met him or I met a different Jorge. I met them both through. I met one through Amaury, so it could have been him or it could have been the other one.
Might
Not
have
sure.
been the other one.
Might have been the other one.
There is one thing I would like to tell you though,
What was it?
in regards to the direction that the new
Okay.
music's going into, because from crying at the party, from the self-titled, and to what I'm gonna release whenever the universe lets me do it. I'm I'm really aiming for a deeper sound. When I say deeper, it's like deeper into dream pop, where it starts becoming hyper dream pop. And I don't even know if that's a thing, but I feel like it should be a thing because I don't know much artists beyond beach house, to be honest. Um, it's kind of funny because I've grew up with these songs, almost like this one particular song I was obsessed with in middle school was "The Speed of Sound" by Coldplay. I don't listen to Coldplay anymore, but that song had such an impact at that age. I still listen to it now, and I feel like that song particularly is so different from all the other songs from that album. And I always wondered, why was this song so profound, but everything else kind of like, wasn't that good. But it's not that they weren't good, but they were leaning towards this feeling, this idea, which now I'm like verbalizing it as dream pop. There's I feel like there's a lot of bands during those years, 2010s, they were making these songs that didn't really stick with everything else, and they didn't even dive into that one tone because that one like feeling, that one sound is so particular. They could have dove into that sound, but they didn't. They went to do other things, and it's kind of disappointing because that song particularly is like, whoa, I feel like that song is dream pop. It could have, like, I don't know if it was because of commercial purposes, they didn't go into that sound, or they just weren't aware of the sound.
Mm-hmm.
Because another good example is this band called Memory House. They're a Canadian band. They have this one song that sounds amazingly like dream pop, but when they start, like, it was just as a single when they made it. They started doing their little EPs. The sound was totally different. The quality was different. But the reason that happened was because they didn't have the money to record the way they did before. So that's where they, I mean, unfortunately strayed away from the dream pop sound. And yeah, that's basically what I'm doing. I'm trying to dive in deeper into the sound that I'm like imagining or hearing in my head.
It's really cool that you have such a specific, like, you even have the song. You're like, this is the song. These are the bands. And I think that's super cool. Like I am genuinely excited because I agree with you. Speed of Sound is it's just one of those songs, like the reverb's perfect. Like the vocals, like the way everything's mixed and the feeling it gives you. It's just arpeggios, really.
Even the music video is
Oh,
so dream pop.
yeah.
It's good.
I definitely can see that. That's so interesting. I never thought about it that way. I haven't like actually gone back to that song in a while, but thinking about it now, it actually really makes a lot of sense. Especially like when you think about Beach House and some of the ways they went into, like, what's one of their albums that's kind of like that. It's like just Depression Cherry, or is it In Bloom? I think it's one of those, right?
I'd say Bloom is more dream pop.
Bloom. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And like, and I get what you're saying, like the hyper dream pop. That's super cool. I'm actually really interested to hear that. You gotta let me know. You gotta let me know as soon as like
Everybody's gonna know.
everybody's gonna know.
Who knows about me?
Hey, I think you're pretty well known.
You think so? I don't think. I don't. I'm genuinely unaware of who knows about me. So I actually moved back from Houston maybe 2 weeks ago, and I've been going out a little bit. I've gone to Tropicasa. I've gone to just Moonbeams, like all my favorite places. Tropicasa was new though, but
Yeah.
I ran into two people that know me, but I have no idea who they are, and it's scary. I'm very shy. I'm very It's not antisocial. It's the other one.
Introverted or
Sure, there's another word for it because people use antisocial to mean that they kind of stray away from going out, but the definition for antisocial is you want to harm people, see them get hurt. That's something different though. That's not
you're
me.
teaching me things now. So you ran into people that you didn't know, and then that's crazy. That's never happened to me before.
I don't like it.
That happened to me with the owner of Tropicasa, because he gave me like a show, and I had no idea. I just had got it through another guy that knew him. Like, and it's like what you said. Someone just knows somebody that knows somebody, and then you're playing next Thursday at 9. Like you're the opener or something. And it was one of those situations. And then I was buying something because I like they have really cool stuff. Like they have like vegan stuff there, and they have like these vinyls. And I'm walking through there. I'm buying this Elvis shirt, this like pink Elvis shirt. I'm like, yeah, I'm buying it. This guy's like, hey, Rick. I was like, I look and I'm like, hi, and he's like, is this everything you're gonna buy? I was like, oh, you're checking me out? Yeah. Oh, cool. That's awesome. That's awesome, dude. Because I just use dude. Just I try like I just use it. So I was like, yeah, that's awesome, dude. And he just like smiles at me because he just knows I don't know his name. But for some reason, I feel like I should, you know. And I don't like that. But I'm not antisocial. I don't want to harm anybody. But I do. I am pretty introverted, I guess. But that's crazy. I think you're pretty well known, at least in the Valley scene. I feel like how I found out about you was actually probably through someone else posting about you, someone that I knew or I was following, and they were like, "Oh, we should check this out." It might be Amari. Um, but yeah, your aesthetics is what initially drew me in, actually. And I wanted to ask you about that. Where did you get the ideas for like some of the early stuff? It was like light, but it was I don't know. Maybe it's something that again I'm not aesthetic. I'm not aesthetically driven. But to me when I saw it, I was like, oh, man, that's so cool. I wish I would have thought of that. Like where did the ideas for the aesthetics come from for that first kind of like couple Instagram posts that we were posting like little clips? I remember that because I that's when I kind of was like, oh, this is interesting. Let me follow this and
Well, I've never been asked this. I've always been drawn to light, kind of like a fly, and it's going towards the, right?
like in A Bug's Life where he's like,
Yeah.
Larry, no, don't do it. He's like, it's so pretty. He's like, fine.
It's because I think one thing that really is missing in music are more lights. And it sounds dumb, but it's kind of like you see those popular song music videos, and the music video has nothing to do. It doesn't even tie in, or it's not even cohesive to what they're singing about. It's like someone with a bear hat, and they're just like doing something crazy. They're running around,
The Capitol building.
doing stuff. Yeah,
Nah,
and
yeah, because the bear hat.
yeah.
That's what I was thinking. But yeah, sorry, continue.
But when it comes to when it comes to me making music, I really thought about it. What's something that's very familiar to everybody and correlates with what I'm trying to like portray, sing, and it's light.
Mm.
I think dream pop, again, it's like it has to be heavily influenced with light.
And it all ties together. That's what I thought. And not even learning about the stuff you're doing because in your album, you're in space, and space is like just stars everywhere, and it's like light. And how do we even find out how far things are away? It's like, well, we measure the light, we measure the color and the light. So it's interesting that it all ties together. And then like you're in church, and like there's this reaching out for feeling, and it's like I don't know. I thought it was a really good like cohesiveness. It was cohesive. That's what kind of drew me in initially. It was like there's this cohesiveness to the sound, the aesthetics, and then kind of just like the feeling, like the feeling of it. I think that's really cool.
Excuse me. Um, when it comes to light, when it comes to like the album, I feel not. I feel the whole purpose of the album too was to draw out the idea and the concept that we're in space. We're literally in existing in this universe. We're existing at like the trees that are outside right now. They're breathing, they're living, and it's like we're all equal in the universe. We're just We're living organisms. We're living things. And when it comes to like you just put the words in my mouth. We measure light to get what color they are, what distance they are, right? I feel like when it comes to light from a star, it's just like, I don't know, it's almost like we're, again, mirroring each other. We have these feelings that are, projected out to others, willingly or not willingly, right? And I feel like these stars just exist. They just, you know, what's the word?
Radiate.
They radiate. They emit light. Emit?
Yeah, that's the right word.
Okay.
I think so.
I don't know. I'm illiterate, to be honest.
No,
But
there's no
I
difference.
when I made that little website for Common Girl, I posted the lyrics, but they're the handwritten versions. There's like so many spelling errors because I genuinely misspell a lot of things. I'm pretty illiterate. So, I mean, it doesn't matter.
You
But
still made great music, so it doesn't matter. It does. It really doesn't.
no, but yeah, I feel like our feelings are like light that are just being projected constantly. And it's just like a new thing that we're, at least that I wanted people to start thinking about. Because nice.
And I'm really appreciative of that. I'm really appreciative of that. I'm really appreciative of the album, and I'm also appreciative that you came by, and like you're just trusting this random guy who's just like, hey, come to my house, record something with me, man. Come on, and also keep saying the wrong words in the podcast, and I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But yeah, I'm excited, and when it comes out, you gotta come back. Hopefully, I'm doing season 2. This is only season 1. But hopefully, I would love to have you back. Hopefully, keep running into people that know you, because I mean, eventually you'll get used to it, and then it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be like, hey, what's up? Boom, boom, boom.
I'm scared.
Don't be scared. It's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. You're admitting they are responding to your light. They're responding to your light, man. I responded to your light, and I'm glad for it, man. So. I appreciate it. And is there anything you want to say? I've never done this. This is like the only end that I've ever done. Is there anything else you would want to say to anybody who's watching or listening? You have the floor.
Love each other, learn from each other, learn from your mistakes, and help each other grow.